Today, we're doing something fantastically different.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Matt and Stu Review, where we take a look at your favorite toys from yesterday and today. Stuart, what do we have on the table?
Today, we're going to take a look at the classic thing from Marvel Legends from the Fantastic Four. We're also going to take a look at some of the figures from the upcoming Fantastic Four movie on the Marvel website and talk about why I haven't bought them.
That sounds awesome. So where do we start with this guy? So this is which version of the thing?
So, in my opinion, this is Thing in his, kind of most classic form. He's got the bright blue shorts. He's got the white belt. When I think of the Fantastic Four, this is kind of my classic Fantastic Four. You're a little more in depth with your comic lore. So, am I correct?
I think about this as being more of the classic Fantastic Four thing. Yeah, absolutely, wearing the trunks as opposed to pants or jumpsuit at some point in time. But no, I think that's a really pretty classic looking.
Yeah, he's at this point kind of a classic Marvel legend too. I'd say he's up there in age in the Marvel legend line, but he still really holds up. With their big guys, they kind of limit the articulation a lot of the time in the arm. So he's got a single jointed arm there. We got his two fist hands in there because it's clobbering time. He's also got double knees, which is nice. Pins, but to me it doesn't really matter too much on such a big chunky figure. He also came with a couple grasping hands, and then what, in my opinion, is a pretty dopey looking alternate head.
Yeah, that the lack of teeth is a weird choice for sure.
It does kind of bum me out that I don't have a calm head that I can put on that figure that I like.
Yeah, trying to see what the articulation feels like for the chest movement. I do like how he's sculpted, especially the sort of the musculature on his chest. It's cool. I don't know about the paint apps on that. It just feels kind of like thrown on.
I agree, they don't make sense. They're not like chosen to go where there necessarily should be a highlight.
Right. What is your history with Fantastic Four?
So I kind of came to the Fantastic Four in two ways. Like my general introduction to comic books and Marvel comics in general was both the cartoons. So if you remember that Fantastic Four cartoon that was on in the 90s, it was sort of X-Men adjacent. The cartoon and then comic book cards. I was like, someone gave me some comic book cards when I was maybe 7 or 8, and then I became obsessed with them for a number of years and completing my set. So in the 90s, there were, I think Thing had like a helmet for a while. And so for some reason, I associate him with his, I feel like sort of this kind of costume, but that white or silver helmeted look. Yes, so that's actually a custom 3D printed helmet that I bought on eBay. I think it was the first third-party accessory that I ever bought. It doesn't fit on his neck peg.
Oh,
So that's why I actually haven't been able to mess with it too much.
well, that's kind of sad.
But,
Put that one in.
now that I'm doing my own sculpting and stuff, I think I could probably make him a pretty cool helmet. I might even try to make that head fix that. I could maybe close his mouth or something.
Yeah, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, I'm
What's your history?
the 90s cartoon. That was like there was this Iron Man was out at the same time. I remember the theme song.
I think
with,
there was
like,
a Hulk too.
oh yeah.
It was like all the kind of, I don't know, compared to the X-Men cartoon, they all seemed really like third rung.
Right, exactly. I think the Iron Man one was a little bit better than the Fantastic Four one. Fantastic Four one had a great theme song though. That I will say. The Call for Four theme was really good.
Oh man, you just awakened some deep memories. I was like, wait, that was a jam.
Yeah, that's yeah. I was big into Fantastic Four when Claremont and LaRocca were on the book, and then the Mike Wieringo run with Mark Waid, I believe. So I read for a while, but fell off. I was never super impressed by the films. So
I had never been like I'd never followed like contemporary Fantastic Four comics. I think when I was young and was into some comics was like the Jim Lee rebooting the Fantastic Four era with like,
Heroes Reborn.
The boob window for Sue maybe and her
Oh.
like skimpy outfit.
Gotcha. That was pre.
Was
Heroes
that was
Reborn.
before Jim Lee?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they were going through a rough time, but
Yeah.
sort of like I had described Adam Warlock in a previous video, I knew that they were part of the like important lore of Marvel. Maybe the X-Men and the Avengers are a little more popular now, but the Fantastic Four I like understood they had this place
Right.
in comic book history. So I sort of, I tried to give them their proper reverence.
I love them as characters. I've been saying since Into the Spider-Verse that I think the way to do Fantastic Four properly, like, is to do a high-level CG animated film.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see how the new live-action film actually is.
So besides that great cartoon, we were both kind of prime comic and comic stuff consumption age when the original round of Jessica Alba and Michael Chiklis, Chris Evans.
Oh, that's right.
We both definitely watched those movies.
Mhm.
What would you think of those?
I have very limited memory of them. I remember thinking the costumes were kind of weird, and I'm a costumes guy. What can I say? And then I didn't watch the sequel, so I never saw Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Wow, okay. I think I watched both of those sort of, early 2000s versions.
Mhm.
The first one, I liked it. I thought Michael Chiklis in particular as the Thing had a really great practical costume and just was like the right guy, right? He
Yeah.
looked like a human version of Ben Grimm. It was perfect. What are your thoughts on the new upcoming Fantastic Four movie?
Being that I am a huge MCU fan, I'm obviously excited. I'm also a gigantic Pedro Pascal fan. So for me, that's like, you know, having the Latino be the lead. So I'm really excited. I think the cast is great. Big Stranger Things fan as well. So, but the actor who's playing Johnny, love him. Vanessa Kirby looks great. And yeah, the Thing. But yeah, so I'm excited. What about you?
I'm excited. I'm definitely going to see it. I'm not as familiar with a lot of the actors, including Thing. Obviously, Pedro Pascal is having an amazing moment.
Yeah,
I think he looks good as Mr. Fantastic. I have to say, I was a little skeptical and was maybe having some Pedro Pascal overload.
right.
Like, does he have to be everything? But he's a great actor, so I think he's going to do a great job.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see it. I like the retro futuristic take that they're going with, as far as the design aesthetics of the movie.
It works really well with, especially with the blue and white, because I think it's a difficult translation into costume design, like to actually make that look good on screen.
Yeah.
So taking it back to some sort of like alternate reality 60s lends itself to that. I think it's going to be a lot easier for people to digest.
I,
So
I will say I'm less excited. I've heard some like teasers maybe that Franklin Richards and is going to be like somehow involved, which
mhm.
gets into like, in my opinion, maybe a part of the Fantastic Four lore that we're not ready yet or we don't need in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind if they did a movie where they got their powers, frankly. I know that, they're starting in media res and we've seen origin stories so much, but I think the Fantastic Four could use a good introduction, to a new generation.
I think that they might be doing some flashbacky stuff, but
Of course, right? They got to.
you're right. So, but enough with the movie. Let's talk about the figures that Hasbro
Yeah.
showed for the movie.
Yes. Let's just talk about the Thing figure for now. I think we've both had a chance to kind of look at some of those renders. My initial thoughts, looks pretty good. Good color. Hate the pants. I don't know why is Thing wearing pants. He should either be wearing, in my opinion, like trunks, like or short shorts or something like that. He's a big rocky dude. I love the head. I love the face. He's got a very Kirby-esque face, even more so than this guy, I would say. Good expression on the face. Like if you're going to give him one head, I think it's, a good sort of stern head. No pins, articulation looks cool. I probably won't pick him up though, unless the movie really moves me. The pants are turning me off, and I don't know, it seems like they all have some kind of gadget on their wrist, but a lot of times I take those off from my MCU characters.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'm going to give this movie character maybe a 6. Like he looks cool. I could see him in the store and
Yeah.
be convinced.
And maybe like actually getting the figure in hand will be different, but like based on prelim designs and what we're seeing.
Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I honestly, so I love the face. I love how Kirby-esque it is. I don't like the expression.
Okay.
I think as maybe a secondary head, that would be fine, but he looks kind of dopey to me. Like he looks like he's really like, I'm sad Thing. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. But I love the eyebrows. I actually want to kind of take a quick look at the difference between the two. Yeah, I think the way that the eyebrow sculpt is looking, at least in the pictures, is really cool. I actually do like what they're doing with the chest too, and trying to make it realistic. Something about the pants in that shade of blue makes him look too skinny.
Yeah, I think he looks too skinny
Yeah,
as well.
I think that it's just sort of like making the rock monster element too small. I'm glad he's not wearing shoes because that was
Agree.
something that I was really afraid of, that they were going to put him in like giant boots.
That would be blasphemy.
There's a lot of sort of that MCU texture in the pants that maybe is also making them appear a little bit off-putting.
I mean, they look like sweater pants, like some knitted
Yeah.
sweater pants.
And I think that works for the uppers and some of the other figures we'll talk about on later
I
episodes, but
agree.
I don't think it works for the pants. Maybe there's too much white around the calf area too. Shorts would have been good. I think shorts was probably the way to go with this, because I think the trunks maybe is too much again for the audiences to sort of get behind.
Yeah,
Talking about another movie coming out in July is Superman. It's going to be interesting to see how people respond to the actual trunks on that as well.
I'm
So
pro trunks.
I'm hit and miss. I'm hit and miss. I think we can move past them, but that's an entirely different discussion. So yeah, you know what? I think I'm kind of in line with you on a preliminary 6
Cool.
for that figure. It's again seeing it in hand, actually playing with it. Interesting that I didn't realize Thing only had 4 digits on his feet and hands,
Neither
and
did I, and for some reason it looked weird in the renders, but it doesn't look weird on this figure, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
I think it's size again. I think that the thing right now, at least the movie figure, is not like as beefy as this is.
Yeah,
This is much more of like the Hulk
the movie
proportions.
figure has more like human proportions, which I would say don't do him any favors. Like I prefer the kind of exaggerated like calves, and his proportions aren't specifically human, which makes him more monstrous,
Yeah,
which is kind of the whole point of the character, right?
yeah, for sure. And I don't like the eyes on this figure. I do think that there maybe needs to be more blue. You can't really see it on the renders. Maybe that is the case with the new figure. Maybe not. I do think the head overall looks better on the movie figure, though. Even though I don't like the expression,
Yeah.
you had mentioned earlier like Jack Kirby, and there is a real like Kirby essence to the way
A
that
lot of
head
it's in the
looks.
straight up square eyebrow ridge. Like this guy's got kind of a slopes down from his forehead thing. He looks kind of almost like a dinosaur or something, right? But
Right.
the thing just has these big eyebrow blocks jammed right on his
Yeah,
face.
and you can do a lot more animation with them, so I imagine that'll be something interesting. I also think the nose is much smaller. I think there's this tendency to try to fill out the face,
Yeah.
and that's a little just it's too big in my opinion, which is hilarious because we were talking about bigger proportions for everything else.
Well, I think that covers the movie figure. Maybe let's move on to this thing that we have right in front of us.
Sounds good.
All right. Nat, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate this thing figure?
You know, articulation's pretty okay. Like I said, I don't like the paint maps on him, but I mean, he feels pretty quintessentially Thing. I'm gonna go with a 7. I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe the toe articulation to give him some like leaning in posing would have been nice, as opposed to just having him stuff like that. I do like that he can just be set up so quickly and so easily. So yeah, I'm gonna say a 7. What about you?
I agree with you. I'm actually going to give him a 7 as well. I think he's fine. I think he's a good representation of the character. He's what's on the market and what I can get from Hasbro Legends. When they come out with a pinless comic book thing that, has 2 different expressions and, probably updated quality, I would probably buy that one over this one. So, yeah, I'm going to meet you right there at a 7.
And we want to hear from you. Are you interested in picking up the new Marvel Legends figure of the Thing based on the new movie? Let us know in the comments below.
This has been our review of the Thing in his classic form from Marvel Legends, and a mini review of the upcoming Thing figure from the Fantastic Four movie.
Hey, and if you like toys and reviews like this, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see y'all on the next video.
Bye.